Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. And I know I haven't done a market watch video in a while. I don't typically like to do these very often just because there are a lot of other amazing content creators that do market watch videos, and you know, I don't want to flood everyone's feed with this, but this is going to be a little bit of a different market watch per se. I wanted to go over some of the cards that I think are worth maybe looking at for future sets or potentially picking up before OP06 arrives. A lot of these cards I think are relatively fair price right now that you could pick up and you would be happy with, not only from an investment standpoint because they'll probably go up over time, and also just having these cards as, you know, potential playability throughout OP06. A lot of them that I'll be highlighting are in many of the decks that are coming out, and some of them are not, but I do think that they're worth mentioning. And there are a few that the prices are not fair, they're not great. However, I do want to highlight them just because I do genuinely think that they're probably worth, you know, picking up if you're interested in particular lists in the future. But to get us started, a lot of the black as well as mono black as well as multicolor variants of, you know, black green, black blue, you know, so many different things have the need for Sabo, as well as starter deck 13 coming out, you know, in the relatively near future. Maybe what's it, like 2 months, something like that, 2.5 months from now. Sabo is just a staple in so many of these lists. It's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. It's a fantastic blocker, it's a fantastic stat line, and the on-play effect is unbelievable. This card helps against yellow in so many of the different lists, so I would highly recommend picking this up. I know that it's hit that $8 mark. It used to be a bit cheaper. As we can see, looking down, you know, it used to be around the $4 mark, you know, back in December of 2023. But as the new year was hitting, I believe that, you know, there was a list that was topping at the time, you know, in the Eastern meta that was running Sabo. And I think this might have been right around when like Borino was doing pretty well. But as we can see, it started to drop down a little bit. I think that this card will only go up over time. Just looking at a 6-month spread, you know, it stayed around that $5 mark, but it's definitely going to keep climbing up just a little bit at a time. You know, the longer that it hasn't been set for, the more this card will have value. And I just see it in pretty much every black deck in the future. So really, well, maybe not every black deck, but a lot of them in the future. So it's definitely worth picking up as far as, you know, having a card for some of the play sets. And then Kuan. Kuan has been a bit of a weird card because, you know, there are some decks that don't really run Kuan as much, but then there are decks coming out that will be running Kuan pretty heavily. Perona being one of them. Perona, I personally have been running 4 of these Kuans in Perona, because if you don't see this card versus yellow, you're just looking bad. You're just looking real bad. So Kuan is just a fantastic pickup. I think that this also has so much merit for being in future mono black or multicolored black leaders in the future. It's just as far as a 4-cost 5k goes, you get to draw a card and reduce the cost. It's exactly what you want to be doing when playing black. So this is fantastic. I think the price, obviously $17 per Kuan, is very steep. However, all things considered, it was much higher. It's been going down. I think if you're interested in playing Perona in the next set, or you just want to have the card for future sets, I genuinely think this is worth picking up. Obviously, 17 is not a pretty number. I you know, I can't say in good conscience that that's you know, fantastic to pick it up for, but my concern is if you don't pick it up now, what's it going to be like in 2 sets, 3 sets? It might be a $30 card when a leader comes out. So, you know, I hate to pull on the heartstrings of, you know, FOMO and fear of missing out. However, I just personally would hate to be not having this card when it goes up in price. Very similar to the man, the myth, the legend, Borino. I don't think this blocker is going anywhere anytime soon. I really genuinely hope that this gets printed into a tournament pack in the future, but this card is insane. It's just so good for the value, the stat line. Also, being able to get this back off of 8 cost Moria in the next set is, you know, practically a no-brainer. Now, it is interesting to note that if 8 cost Moria gets hit, where does this card stand? Doesn't really change, but I think that some cards do change if 8 cost Moria gets hit. This is one of them that I just think it's gonna be a staple in pretty much every deck for the near future. Just a very, very strong ability. Having the 1k counter as well is fantastic. And always when you have those 4/5, 4/6 stat line cards, they're just 9 times out of 10 inherently like some of the best cards you'll have in your deck. So this is like probably the best card printed for black so far until OP06. And 37's not great. It has dipped. It has dipped down from like the $45, $50 mark. You hate to see it that high, but you know, with OP02 and OP01 being as low printed as they were, a lot of these SRs are a little harder to get your hands on. If you start to take a look at some of the OP03 through OP05 SRs, they're obviously nowhere near as high. Like there's some, but OP02 and OP01 are really where those SRs are hitting like pretty big numbers, simply because you know, the print capacity at that time was extremely low comparatively to now. And hopefully it only gets better. But another decision is Rebecca. You know, we're kind of going through all of the blockers right now for black. And Rebecca doesn't seem to be... It doesn't seem to be, like, as prevalent in many other lists as it is in Sakazuki. It does feel like there's a place for Rebecca and Gecko Moria as maybe like a 2 of or a 3 of. But... yeah, Rebecca's up for the price or excuse me, for the card and like the price that it is right now. I would definitely consider picking up 4 of these. If you do want to play black in the future, you know, maybe you're missing 1 or 2 of these. I mean, this is a great price to get them at, if I'm being honest. Yet again, this is another card though that's up for contention. Like some people speculate that this might get hit by the bans and restrictions. I'm not really going to go over that this video. I plan on doing that in the future. But this is just like a super solid card, and I don't know, for this price, I genuinely feel like it's good to pick it up now. Even if it does get hit with like a banner restriction, it looks as though in the past, you know, as far as like Radical Beam and stuff like that, they wanted the game to progress to a point where some of the unanswerable cards have answers. I think that this card already has answers, so to me, I don't really see it getting hit, but yet again, another video. Yeah, I think this card's worth picking up. The ability's fantastic, and you know, the value of it is incredible. And another card that has been making some strides lately is Helmeppo from Starter Deck 6. $2 card right now, right? We all know that Starter Deck 6 has shot up in price because of Hina, Great Eruption. Many cards in that starter deck are just absolutely fantastic, and this card has been shooting up. I mean, just back in November it was a 20-cent card. It is now $2, and that's before OP06 is even out. As soon as the wave of players come into the game that are, you know, trying to build the meta decks, they're going to realize how good Helmeppo is, to be able to bring it back off 8 cost Moria. And I think that this card, as at $2 right now, is probably, if you didn't pick it up back in December, probably the best price point you're going to get. I personally am running 4 of this card in certain lists, 2 of it in other lists. I think it's at least a 3 of in, you know, certain staples in OP06. So I genuinely feel like this is worth picking up right now. And to get off the black train though, and to go into you know, some different cards. We also have X-Drake, going to be very useful in Perona. This is an OP01 card, so it is going to be a little more expensive simply because it's a rare from OP01. X-Drake is right now at around the $2.75, $3 mark. Definitely worth picking up as well. This is just a fantastic card for Borino. Can be searched through, why am I forgetting the name of it? Brand New or Bonnie. I don't really see a lot of Peronas running Bonnie, but I do think it's worth noting that I actually saw a Perona build that was centered around dealing with yellow that was running Bonnie and the 8-cost Kid versus like the 8-cost Moria. And it was very interesting. I think that, you know, they might be onto something as far as like, you know, the Perona matchup maybe not feeling so great into yellow, so they decided to tech around it and maybe like take a little bit of an L into other matchups. But yeah, X-Drake is a great card for being able to, you know, synergize with your leader ability. And at this price, since it was OP01, it was this card's a year old. Probably not going to be seeing much of a print of this card again unless it's in a tournament pack or something like that. Definitely think it's worth picking up if you're interested in that list. 10 cost Flamingo, another card that is going to be super useful, not only in maybe future Uta decks, but Perona, massive. Like, you got to have this card in Perona. If you don't, you're just going to be down bad. This card, it synergizes with Perona's list, but it's also just perfect for, you know, how that deck plays. And being at $5 right now, I mean, this card is, sometimes I feel like this card is really slept on. It's pretty insane. It's pretty insane. You get to take a whole turn, right? A whole free turn, basically, and freeze 3 of your opponent's characters. Yes, they can, and leaders. They can play around it, but that normally just nets you another free turn if they do, and they're not resting any of their stuff. So I think this is a really big threat for a lot of decks, and it's worth picking up at $5 right now. It was a little bit cheaper back then, but, you know, people were kind of sleeping on the card, and now they're starting to see, like, okay, all right, I respect it. And we also have Ezo in green. This card's been also going up mostly because of Uta right now. However, I think that there's some merit to note that there are future EB01 leaders as well as OP07 leaders that Ezo does look pretty spicy in. So another OP01 card, this one just being an uncommon, and it's already up to $5. Like, that's insane. $5 on this card. There are already reprints of this card in a tournament pack. However, those are even more expensive. I think they're $7. I didn't pull them up, pull that card up right now. But actually, you know what? Just quick. We can take a look. Yeah, it's like $750-ish, right? Just for the other Ezo right now. So, super worth picking up. If you're interested in future green lists, just because this card's already been printed in tournament packs, it's highly likely it's not going to get printed again. So worth considering. I would pick these up if you're interested in some future green lists. Nami is a bit unfortunate. Obviously, the price of this has been going absolutely bonkers because of Uta, but with the Uta winning the championship in Japan, for their EB01 OP06 like 6.5 meta, we definitely saw this as well as Usa's Captain Kid, 8-cost Kid get shot up. I just think that Nami's, it's just such a good card though. For the film engine, this card is correct, and I do think that film isn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon. We're probably going to be seeing, as we know already, there are a lot of film red and purple cards. So combinations of red, green, purple, you know, any of those color combinations are going to be pretty massive. And having Nami in there, I can only see this card just being an SR from OP02, one of those lower printed sets, going up. So again, it's almost like a kind of bite the bullet sort of thing. Like, this is going to be a very useful card. Granted, I don't think it's going to be majorly useful in OP06, so there is maybe some merit in saying, hey, maybe don't buy now. Maybe wait till, you know, the start of OP06 when the hype kind of goes to other cards, and maybe this card might drop, but I can't really speculate that. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I don't know. You know, the market is always super volatile, so you never know with this. And then we also had Law. I put Law in here because of not realistically OP06, but Red-Green Law potentially making a comeback from a lot of the cards that we've been seeing in OP07, as well as some of the EB01 cards. Red-Green Law is going to be a menace. I think it's coming back with some of the cards that they're getting. And this Law blocker, it's a must. It's a must-have. And if you are interested in playing that list, or, you know, want to play something of the sort in the future, you know, one of the OP01 leaders, the OGs, you're going to need these blockers. And I think at this price, after they have definitely tanked quite a bit, I think it's worth mentioning that, you know, this is something to pick up, something to consider. I know that there are other options other than the Law, but I do think that this is still kind of like your engine for the red-green build. And yeah, I think this is at the price point, it might be worth picking this up if that's something you're looking at, maybe 2-3 months in the future for a deck list. And I also wanted to move into Kinamon. Now, these two cards that I'm about to talk about here, I put these on here because of an EB01 leader. I know that this video is mostly geared towards OP06 and, you know, the new meta that's coming out in about 3 weeks from now. Kinamon is... This card is going to be very, very interesting. This card, as well as Denjiro, that I'm showing right here. Both of these very cheap, right? $1.41, as well as Denjiro being at 83 cents. For the red-green Odin list, these will be a must, right? So if you are interested in that deck, pick these up now, right? For this price, you're not going to get a better price. It's probably not going to be a better time to pick them up if you're interested, right? Now, there are some other cards that go into that list, but I don't think that they were really like worth mentioning because of that, you know, high price point or them not even being out into the game yet. But I just think that these two specifically are going to be like the heavy hitters that will be included. At least, you know, maybe not 4 ofs, but I think Denjiro is 100% going to be a 4 of. Kinamon, maybe a 2 of. Who knows? I haven't seen really many lists. I haven't worked on building one myself. I'm just speculating that these cards are... Denjiro for sure is going to be in there. Kinamon, though, does seem very viable. I would consider, you know, looking into this, potentially picking it up. Kinamon's going to be very nice, and then it just adds the 1k counter through the leader ability. So now these counterless cards have 1k counter. Very, very nice. And now Charlotte Sparrow, for any of my yellow homies out there, you might want to pick up some Paros, dude, if you don't have them, okay? Because Katakuri is looking like a menace in OP06. I hate it. I was playing some rank matches last night. It's looking like a menace. It's terrible. But Charlotte Sparrow, for the price right now, pretty good. I do see this going up just because I know the popularity of yellow is pretty high. Also, the hatred for yellow is even higher. But yeah, if you're interested in playing Katakuri, you might want to pick up that Sparrow. You might want to get your hands on a Sanji, right? The Sanji, the reason why I value getting Sanji over Sparrow though is because this card I could see in almost any yellow list. Like, it's just a great card. It's just a fantastic card. A blocker, great stat line, 1k counter, trigger lets you cheat the card out. It's so good. And for $8, it looks as though it's seen a little bit of a dip since the middle of January. It's not, I don't think it's the greatest price point. I'd prefer it to be at around 5, but it's one of those things that I don't see the card going down. I think OP04 was a really, you know, it was a very good print of a lot of the boxes. And I think that because of how many of these are out in the ether, this is a very high price point. That means the card is very valuable. People understand this card has potential, like in every single yellow list to come. And that's, you know, that's where the price point reflects. So it might be worth picking up. I also wanted to bring up Yamato. I think Yamato is like, it's Yamato. It's Yamato. I just think that this card's really good, obviously, for Enel. But it's I don't see a world where there's going to be a yellow leader in the future that won't also make use of Yamato. Because, I mean, we've been looking at it and like how many yellow leaders just get value off of having either high life or low life, right? And I can only imagine there will be another one in the future, just like Enel, that will get value off of being low life, kind of like Starter Deck 9 Yamato, or is it Starter Deck 8? One of the two. Yeah, the leader. I think that this card's worth mentioning. I think it's probably worth, you know, taking a look at, potentially picking up. But yet again, just depends on what you're interested in, and that's been like the whole idea of this, is just kind of going over the cards so that if you are interested in picking up some of these, might be worth you know, considering right now, or potentially in the near future. But uses Captain Kidd as well. I'm telling you guys, if I had the money, I'd probably buy like 100 of these right now for $5 each if I had the money. The reason why, I genuinely think that this is probably going to be one of the best like SRs ever printed for purple. I really do. I think that this is going to be a staple in a absolutely insane purple deck in the future. I really, really do. I think my thought process goes to whenever we see a purple black leader come out in the future, this card and Sabo and like Borsalino, it doesn't get much better than that. You've got the god combination of blockers. This card just being able to ramp on, as well as having a fantastic stat line, the 1k counter. It's already got a search event. I can only imagine that the Kid Pirates are going to get more love in the future as well, through maybe like a 1-cost searcher. Yeah, I think this card is very, very good. Granted, I don't think it's massive for OP06. As you can see, it's kind of like fallen off more and more. I'm surprised it never really like kind of spiked a little bit, simply because of all the success that Purple Luffy's been having lately. But yeah, I think this is huge card worth picking up at this price point, because this to me, like when I look at this card, I see potentially another Borsalino, right? Like I see a card that might be like $20 in the future, simply because of how useful it is and the card's not being reprinted again. So yet again, speculation. Not financial advice, speculation. I think that if you want to get the card, pick it up now, because I can only imagine this card's going to go up. But Queen Starter Deck 4 has went down to $30. I think this is nice, at least like a breath of fresh air, that it's not in like the 40 range again. It's still not good. It's still not good. The fact that this card hasn't been in a tournament pack is like mind-blowing. It's like actually mind-blowing that they haven't put this card into a TP yet. But I think that this card has so much merit for future purple decks as well. However, it's not super useful in OP06, so not really massive on, you know, how much I want to talk about this card, just because in OP06 it's like Reiju plays the card. That's about it. I don't really know how Purple Luffy fares too well into the OP06 meta, but you know, if you are interested in playing that, it might be worth considering. So just thought I'd bring that up, because it is one of those highly contested cards. Now, Gordon was the last card I wanted to bring up. This is not really an OP06 idea. Well, I guess you can say it is, because I think that Red Purple Law is definitely getting some love in OP06. However, it gets love in EB01. It gets some great cards, and that is why this card has been skyrocketing in price recently. I actually got rid of mine recently. Big mistake on my part, because I wasn't thinking that... I wasn't really thinking about the idea... This is so stupid. But I wasn't thinking about the idea that in OP06 there is a reprint version of this card, right? However, it's a different name, it's a different character. You could just run all 8 of them, right? I don't know why that thought never crossed my mind. So it was like, oh shoot, if you want to play Red Purple Law in the future, you can have 4 Gordons, as well as 4 of the... I can't remember the exact name, but it's something Max. So yeah, extremely worth considering. It's pretty wild, honestly. And yeah, I think that this card right now is the worst price point. It's terrible, but for all the Red Purple Law players, it might be worth considering. I know that I'm not entirely sure if they sell the packs on here. Oh, they do, and it's okay. People have caught on. All right. I could have sworn that the packs were going for like a little bit cheaper and you would get all of the cards in there, but unfortunately they are a little bit higher. But it was something worth mentioning. Yeah, because this is the promo pack that has the Uta, it's got the Gord and the Law, all of those characters. But yeah, I just wanted to go over a couple of these cards and give my mindset and thoughts and, you know, ideas around why I thought some of these cards are really worth picking up right now. And any of the cards that I didn't highlight that you might be thinking of, maybe the reason why I didn't bring them up is simply because I don't think they're worth picking up, or I just didn't think it was interesting enough to look at, like as far as a price point. Like I maybe didn't think the price point was great. So yeah, just wanted to give a little bit of information. Hope it helps anybody that hasn't already like gotten their head into, you know, what's happening in OP06. I know some people are like months ahead speculating and whatnot, but if you're like me, a lot of the times I wait till maybe like 3 weeks to a month before a set, and then that's when I really start to get invested and interested in it, just because I don't like to, I like to enjoy what I'm on currently and then, you know, get hyped for the next one, not too far in advance, but enough that it, you know, I get excited. So hope you guys enjoyed, though. Let me know your thoughts, because I'd love to hear if you guys agree or disagree. And other than that, I'll catch y'all on the next one, okay? Peace.